Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of the Hate Bit podcast and otherwise, welcome once again for the second week in a row, Monday Night Chaos. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's lovely to see each and every one of you, haters and Hades alike. I'm glad to see everybody coming on down. Welcome to Monday Night Chaos. 2 weeks in a row. Isn't that 2 weeks? That's fantastic. We do it with the long fingernails. 2 weeks. Absolutely fabulous. It's so wonderful to see everybody out. I think that's great. If you pardon me, I'm getting myself situated here. I'm not quite as prepared as I thought I was for the program, so you'll just give me a minute. I'm also enjoying some of the commentary going on. I do enjoy that, and I know a lot of you guys know that. So you're out there putting on a show for me, and I do appreciate that. Anyway, what was I saying? Welcome to the show. We're going to rap about this and rap about that. Again, don't have a whole lot of preparation because it's October and I'm busy doing other things. Mostly just having a nice Halloween-y type time. I try and do that. You know, it's good to be good to yourself, and you know, something that works for me, so I recommend it highly. Going on in the background behind us, William Castle's 1957 classic, I think, The House on Haunted Hill, starring Vincent Price. A film in the public domain, so after the program, be sure and check it out. Just type it into your YouTube search bar. You just type in The House on Haunted Hill, and I'm sure you'll see at least 3 or 4 copies on all those, you know, those channels that call themselves like timeless classic movies and things like that. You can find all sorts of things, all old movies and stuff like that, and they are far more interesting than people would have you believe. So got a lot of the usual suspects in here, as I would expect. There was some campaigning earlier for some shirtless chaos. I did the best I could. This is skinless chaos. This is an exact reproduction of my rib cage and my skeletal structure as would be seen, because it is green. I know that, and it glows, which is important. So anyway. What are we going to talk about this evening? There's all sorts of things we could talk about. I was, you know, I know people. Apparently, I did some ranting last week. A good friend of mine, who just been a very very long time friend of mine, a crooner, in my opinion, one of the unsung heroes of power metal. My good friend, Mr. Luis Carrion, from the. I don't know what kind of power metal band they are, but they are Gran Dia, and from here in San Diego, as a matter of fact. They're more closer to the city, whereas I live north of that area. But that's immaterial. Anyway, Luis told me that I went on a bit of, he watches the program from time to time, and he told me I went on a rant, a harangue, if you will, about something about black metal guitar tone. And I said, wow, do I really rant about, you know, because that didn't strike me as a rant. I mean, you guys have heard me go for it. You, those fans of the Hate Bit podcast, have seen me really go for it. I think when I was younger and my voice wasn't this tattered, you know, I earned this. I sound this way from doing rants just like that. I just didn't, you know, and I didn't realize that was a rant about guitar tone, but I wonder, do I really rant about, I guess I do a little bit, because I started ranting around the house, in fact, for free, and I figured I had to tell you guys about it. Something really neat has come about, and I knew it was only a matter of time before somebody ruined it and shit on it and exploited it, but and on the other hand, that might be what makes it a good idea. Is that we have, you know, ads on YouTube, and on your computer they're kind of annoying, and people think that they don't want ads, and I don't think that's true. I think everyone loves to hear good news, so long as your ads don't suck. But the experience on set-top boxes, I've had a little experience with set-top boxes in the last few years, and it's just like TV. You know, you don't mind just leaving it on in the background when you're sitting at your computer. For those of you that are sitting at your computer, I know a lot of you are looking at me on your mobile device, on your iPad, your tablet computer, whatever have you. It's a different experience because your attention is focused and you want to see things that you want to see. You don't want to fucking hear about Colonel Sanders got a suntan and shit like that. That's not what you're after. But I find that, you know, when you have the TV on, you don't care if there's ads, and sometimes you will stop and watch it just for a second because it's on. I think as North Americans, at least myself as a North American, and your mileage may vary. That's something that I've just come to deal with. Is like it's and since TVs are so energy efficient these days, it's not as big of a deal as it once was to just leave one on for a brief period, and then in the wintertime, because of some of these HD TVs have kind of warmer filament heaters in them, not filament. Whatever, I forget what it is. They don't use tubes, the diodes. But anyway, in any event, watching YouTube on, say a set-top box like your Apple TV or Roku is a very different experience, I found, than what you get on your phone. This is how I hold my phone, I guess. Your phone, your tablet, your computer or whatever. It just seems like you experience it in a different way. Anyway, on the YouTube app for Apple TV, for instance, people are buying ad time to play their music videos, which is kind of how music videos, if you look way back previous to MTV, that's what record labels would do. They would film a band playing live, and then they'd put that on in a commercial space, and that was really fucking expensive. What people don't realize is MTV made that like affordable, and that's why you notice the production values of the music videos went up, because it was cheaper to put shit on MTV than it was to buy time on regular television. Anyway, people are doing that now. They're buying time on YouTube and showing their music videos. And I thought, oh, that's pretty neat. But now fucking Guitar Center is doing it. Some soulless corporation that pretends that they care about music creation. They don't. They are just saddled with a company that they can't sell. Those motherfuckers. Anyway, and they had a guy named Tosin Abasi. And Tosin Abasi, I think that's how it's pronounced, seems like, I want to say he seems like a nice fellow, but he kind of seems like a conceited prick to me. And now, mind you, I have very little experience. I've only read interviews, and I've seen him, talk about his opinions on one thing or another, particularly his opinions on modeling amplifiers. That's something that I've noticed. But anyway, he was appearing for Guitar Center, and I got all bent out of shape. Like, I'm sick and fucking tired of hearing about how great Tosin Abasi and Animals as Leaders is. Tosin Abasi, in my opinion, is very much a cross between, what did I call him? Oh, God damn it, I can't remember. But I likened him to Tony McAlpine. He's a shredder kid, and I appreciate him. I don't get how this, it's interesting how in guitar circles, it seems like guitar-based music, the way these things are marketed, is that, and you guys are going to have to, let me take a few liberties here, like I haven't already, right? It just seems to me that, well, I guess it doesn't seem to me, but it baffles me the way somehow I'm expected to believe that this person knows what they're talking about, yet they don't sell any records. And I hear commentary on YouTube all the time, well, everyone knows they don't make money in records if they make money in their appearances. They don't fucking make money in their appearances. They make money in merchandising. I'm sorry to tell you that. If you think you're going to make money playing music performance-wise, it takes a while to get there. And even then, you got to fight tooth and nail to take that. Anyway, I just want to say I'm sick and tired of hearing about Animals as Leaders. They're I don't know, they're very good at what they do. They are very strong performers. However, they don't have any songs that I want to listen to ever again. I heard it. Oh, that's nice. Lots of arpeggios. Very good. And odd time. And I appreciate that, but the same thing, just like periphery. Like, yeah, okay, great. Do you have any songs that I might want to hear more than once? Now, you tell me, was that a rant? That's what I want to know. You folks, tell me. In the section provided, or wherever it is now, if it's over there. They keep moving it around. Goddamn fucking YouTube. And apparently Javier Reyes is a piece of crap. I don't know who Javier Reyes is, but it was said in the comment section, so I cannot be held liable. Mm-hmm. Nick Canfield asks, what was the final straw that spurred my household GameStop boycott? It really wasn't all that theatrical. I just decided I'm not fucking going in there. And I will still go to a GameStop on occasion if I'm near one, but if it smells, I don't go in. That's my rule. You know, I have not given them money in, my gosh, I don't know. It's been at least 5 or 6 years, I want to say. I think I bought a used Wii from them and then immediately returned it, and that's the last time I think I spent any money with them, and that was like 2007, I want to say. Something like that. But it wasn't really anything all that theatrical. I just decided, like, I'm not going to drive my car, get in my car, use my oil, you know, burn up some of my oil, use my gasoline, and drive all the way to a place that smells like balls, feet, cheese, and old beer. And then touch dirty-ass video games that have been who knows where. I just realized that's not for me. If I want that, I can go to the fucking flea market in the fresh air and have a similar experience. Did I say no one showers at GameStop? Don't be attributing quotes. I don't think I said that, because I don't know that. I'm sure there's got to be one dude. Morgoth did nothing wrong. Asks, why do GameStops all stink? I'll tell you why GameStops all stink. For the same reason that every Chuck E. Cheese stinks. Because some food fell on the floor, and then they walked over it and 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 walked over it, brought in the rainwater, walked over it, walked over it, walked over it, and it's the same fucking carpet from like 11 years earlier. That's why. It's disgusting. It makes me sick. Luxury Hellion says, it sucks when GameStop is the only game store in your area. Yeah, that does suck, but, you know, and I hate to plug, you know, some big corporation that doesn't care about anybody, but, you know, Amazon goes almost everywhere. I know it's not the same, but, you know, it is what it is. Or you can just do what I did. Just adjust what my idea of video games were and go in that direction. You know, I was always about, you know, in terms of entertainment, whatever comes by pretty easy, you know, you make the best of it. I had a real good time with Atari, and I still do. So. Okay, now you're attributing false quotes to me. I said nothing against Metroid Federation Force. I want to say that. I'm going to call your bullshit. I'm going to need some documented evidence. I never said anything against that. I said everyone else sucks. That's what it is. But yes, there's got to be at least one dude, at least one, who showered. That's just, you know, following. That's just, you know, math. Retrovision says he worked at EB Games and don't think he ever saw the carpet get clean. Of course not. That costs money. GameStop. See, that's the thing. GameStop is one of those companies that had this rapid expansion rate, and they basically told everyone who was going to pay for it, look, we're going to make lots of money. This whole thing is going to be fabulous, and we're going to do very well, provided we don't have to spend any money. As long as nothing costs anything, we're going to make a whole bunch of money. And that's exactly what happened. They didn't spend any money. They didn't invest in what they're really doing. You can ask anybody who works in GameStop. A lot of the GameStops are working with fucking the same POS, point of sale technology, computers and cash registers from, you know, for those who know, 8, 9, 10 years ago. You know, it's like working in a fucking thrift store. Let me see here. All right. Anyway, I'm getting lost in everybody's comments. I don't know who Joey Salads is. If anybody wants to tell me who Joey Salads is, we can start there and work our way up. Will these be weekly now? I don't know. That depends on you. If we have lots of things to talk about, lots of things to discuss, then maybe. I would like to do this as often as I have the time to do it. I know people have commented that, why don't I make this kind of video? Why don't I make that kind of video? And the fact remains, just because those videos those particular videos at least, that I've been asked to do are very time consuming. I just plain don't have the time to do it. I'm just involved in other projects, and I've made a commitment to certain people. But at the same time, I feel like I've made a commitment to you guys. Somehow you're entertained by my soliloquizing and all the long dissertations that seem to flow so easily right here on the Kaos program. So if you guys keep coming back, then I have no choice but to just come on back. I can't just leave you guys hanging. I know I did for a while, but as long as I can draw breath, I'll be here to say bad words. Lupacillo, who has arrived, by the way, wants to know if my TurboGrafx collection has grown. Not at all. Not at all. I don't find that stuff in the wild. I spend. I do look for TurboGrafx games. I truthfully, I'm not actively collecting anything that old right now. Just because I'm letting things settle. The market is in a really weird place right now. So much so, and I'm gonna complain about this because some of the guys I belong to, I've told you about this before. I belong to a group, the Southern California Collectors Club or Association or whatever the fuck they call it, and we meet periodically throughout the year. And like with every single fucking convention, every meeting of the minds, whatever you might call it, where people of our distinction of our genre of interest meet, and there's always people that are there to hawk their shit. They call it a trade area, but it's fucking it's business, and a lot of it is stiff business. A lot of people trying to hurt each other for the sake of profit. And it's interesting to me because just people, the way they buy and sell the games and all that stuff, it's like you can make so much money doing something else. It's really interesting how much energy is expelled by these people in just the trading of 30-year-old silicon. This old shit that's, who knows how much longer it'll last. Not to say that I don't love those things still. I still do. I just can't believe the amount of money, which is, essentially your worth for whatever you are paid for whatever it is you do to earn your living, that people are willing to invest in a game that they're going to play and then they might play again in 3 or 4 years. It's weird to me. It really is. But it's the same way I feel about, digital games being as expensive as they are, but for different reasons. So as far as really old stuff, I've just really decided just to hang out and, see what happens. But, yeah, and so and now it's really being discussed on a more administrative level, which is interesting. I guess it has been on forums and things like that, but now, like our group, which was a really peaceful group, it's now being a discussion of are these tactics ethical? And it's like, do we have to bring morals and ethics into this? I know I talked about in previous years about people who want there to be rules and shit, and fuck you. But it's just interesting to me. It really is. Do I have any favorite games based on comics? I'm trying to think. Give me a second now. Give me a second. I like some games based on comics, but they're not necessarily good games. Like, I enjoy Captain America and the Avengers, even though that's not a very good game. It's just, run to the right, beat 'em up. It's not, it's nothing special. But it's, it's neat because it's corny. And Spider-Man, the video game by Sega, again, not a very good game, but I like it. It's got some really interesting sprite, some scaling effects, and it's really neat. And the artwork is very good and very reminiscent. So it's very, I'd say it's a very accurate depiction of the source material. Not a great game, but I'll pump a couple quarters into it. It's not that hard either, so you can go for a while on a few credits. Especially if somebody I know is playing. It's like, fuck yeah, I'll come right over there. I like to be Hawkeye myself. The Fuck the Tsujimoto's campaign, that came out of 2012, when Capcom basically decided, fuck everybody. So Electric Hellion brings up the Punisher game. I remember only playing that once, and I don't remember anything about it. I always confused that one, and I probably do this for the wrong reasons, with there was a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, so to speak, beat-'em-up, shoot-'em-up, crossover. Maybe? I don't know. I guess Alien, or Aliens. There was the Aliens arcade game, and a lot of people always lamented that game never made it to home consoles, but it's really not that good. It's just really good looking, and it makes a lot of really neat noises. Like, it's a great attraction. It's a great thing to get people to come, at least at that time, to get people into your arcade, but I don't think any serious gamers, people who enjoy gameplay, would appreciate that game, and I think that's why it never made it to home consoles. Home consoles, to me, were always more about and that's something I've noticed in the realm of video games, that arcade games are, more along the lines, for different reasons, more like that of theme park attractions, especially some of the more environmental games like Radmobile and Super Hang-On, things like that. So yeah. I imagine people are surprised I didn't bring up the X-Men game. I wouldn't call it one of my favorites. It's fine, I'd rather play Spider-Man the video game, because I think it didn't sell as well. So you see them, they're a little less common. A lot of bowling alleys I know had them. And as far as I know, they still have one at the Circus in Las Vegas. So. And PlayStation is here. I'm glad. He can keep y'all motherfuckers in line. Oh, wait, he left. Motherfucker. Fear Thy Reaper, who follows me everywhere, on the Twitter, on the Instagram. What was the intro song from the early 8-Bit podcast? I don't know. That's something that Razor Fist put together. You'd have to ask him. I can't remember. He told me once. I want to say it was Kingdom Come, but I could be totally wrong with that. You're gonna have to ask Razor Fist about that. He would know. Hit him up on Twitter. He'll hit you right back. If there's anything that man enjoys is shooting back and forth on Twitter. He loves that. Electric Hellion wishes that he could check out more arcade games. He's only been to 2. I assume you must live in the Australian bush. is it really that bad? There's none of that. I mean, because here in California, when we want an arcade, we call that a laundromat. Actually, here in San Diego County, it's not too bad. Here in Southern California, there's a fair amount of arcades. You have to drive a ways to get to them, but there's and they're spread out really. And you won't find them called arcades. You'll find them in family fun centers, they call them, or ice hockey arenas or rinks, skate parks. Indoor skate parks typically have arcades. Here in California, we have nickel arcades, which are really neat. You pay a certain amount of money to get in, and then a large amount of the games are free, and then there are other games that take nickels. Some of them, they'll take like 5 and 6 nickels. And I would rather put in, I'll put in 2 quarters. I'll pay $2 so I can put in 2 quarters just for the convenience of putting in quarters, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some of them take 10 nickels. Like, you're pissing me off. You know that? Razor Fist is damage controlling for Donald Trump. Is he? Oh, I don't spend much time on Twitter. Twitter doesn't, I mean, if you hit me up on Twitter, I'll get back to you. I promise. But I don't really watch. I mean, I check out George Wallace, who is a comedian. George Wallace and a handful of other people. I just to see what they say, because they're funny, I think. Because following product manufacturers on Twitter is fucking pointless. Absolutely pointless. So, but yeah, you can do that. Nick Canfield says he lives in Kansas City. Is that Kansas City, Kansas, or Kansas City, Missouri? Either way, not too far away. But I always want to know these things. No arcades outside of Dave & Buster's and barcades. Well, the barcades are getting better, and the Dave & Buster's are definitely getting better. It seems to me that there's been a big push in the last couple of years for more arcade development, both on the low end and on the high end. I think we have a new Luigi's Mansion coming. Arcade. We have a new. We just had a Mario Kart come out last year, or this year. So there's been a lot of that, and because these companies are now having games commissioned, Dave & Buster's, because they have an interest in these machines drawing people. If they don't draw people, they don't make money. How much money do you really think could be made on mozzarella sticks? Not that much. So they gotta work on that. Let me see. Montana wants to know why I didn't respond to his post on Facebook. What post on Facebook? Maybe I didn't get it. What was it? Shoot it to me again. I'll get back to you. I promise. Simon DeGriff wants to know, did I ever play Mighty Number 9? I did not. I've seen it. It looks pretty cool. And from what I gather, I guess just the bosses really suck. And it looks that way. I haven't played yet. But... I haven't got around to it. I'm waiting for that game to be like $5, and when it's $5, I'll get it for the Wii U. But I've heard reports, people say that the worst one is on the Wii U. It's like, oh, great, thanks. And I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 4. I mean, I guess my little brother has a PlayStation 4, so I guess I could go over there. But yeah. The Indianapolis, Indiana Museum, I guess there's just one museum, had a paper day arcade with old Star. That sounds bitchin'. Old Star Wars machines. Kevin, tell me, were they arcade cabinets, or were there pinball machines mixed in there too? Please, I'd love to hear about that. Lupus wants to know if I tried the Mario Kart arcade machine. Not the most recent one. There was a couple before that, and yes. I prefer the home console versions over the arcades that I've tried, because they're developed by Namco, so the games are definitely different. It seems like the controls are a little more floaty. The art design is fantastic. The colors pop great. The sounds, and they're fun to the arcade hardware is great. The game just, in my opinion, it's more like a Sega racer. It's done by Namco, but it's more like a Sega racer, and in my opinion, it's a little more floaty. Nick Camfield wants to know, why did I stop answering reader emails in the last season of Hatebreed Podcast? We weren't really getting that many that we could really use. A lot of it was just retreads, if you know what I mean, questions that have been asked before. And also, I think the program started running long, so I had to do something to keep it down, because the shows were getting, 2.5 hours at times, and it was too much. It was too much to do. you know, and I find that doing those longer programs didn't help because only a certain amount of people can sit through that much of listening to this, listening to me and Razor Fist go back and forth about whatever the fuck it is we talked about. You know, you can only listen to so much of that, believe me. So that's just the way I feel about it. Let me see. It said full machines. That's cool. I'm glad to hear that. Things were well, apparently, at the Indianapolis Museum. Yeah, and you'll see more of that in the future as, you know, these games are going to be, hopefully, you know, before they're destroyed. That's the problem. That's another thing that makes me sad is how many games we've lost to the illusion of progress, I think. These machines are destroyed because they cost too much to move. You know, it is what it is. You know, you buy it and you can do what you want with it. And, you know, you can't save everything. I just feel bad that I bet you there's some arcade games that existed that were not documented properly and have been lost to, you know the sands through the hourglass. Lawson Lee wants to know, will 8-Bit Podcast come back? Lawson, I don't know. I don't know. That, you know, I don't control that. That will depend on a number of things. You know, what I really should do is just break in on if Alpha Omega Sin appears at one of these conventions. I should just fly there and like bust in. Do like, hey yo, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. You know, I'll do like that. You watched the show all the way through high school. Was the show on that long? I want to say that was that show on for like, but we did that for like 3 years. That's, well, that's, I guess that's a lot of high school. Glad I could help. Everybody saw my big ass glass. Yeah, and it keeps the water cold. So if y'all niggas don't like my big ass glass, all you can just fuck right the fuck right off. Jared Dove wants to know if I like Dissection. Yes, I do like Dissection. They're one of those bands where I couldn't really tell you all of the songs that I like. I just know that, you know, how the riffs go. But yeah, I enjoy it. Have I ever played SNES Mapper's here? SNES Mapper, how you doing, baby? Have I ever played the Cruisin' USA arcade machine? Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, there's one at the mall a few miles away. They have an arcade over there. And I feel stupid. I didn't take my camera and go like show you. I wonder if places like that, you know, get pissed off about that. But what are you really going to see? Here's me and here's an arcade. I guess I should show it off. Or, you know, follow me on Instagram. Everybody check me out. Get yourself an Instagram account. I'm just going to, I've been meaning to do this, and I swore to myself that I would take pictures of every arcade machine I play out in the wild or see or whatever. And I'm going to do that. That's something I'm going to do for you guys. Anytime I see anything video game related, just follow me over there, and I'll try and do it, see if I can link it with Facebook. And I'm not quite sure how that works, primarily because I don't care, you know. But I'll figure it out, and because I want to share that with you guys. Yes, I have played. I'm getting all these things, all these places I go, and I don't share. I feel like an asshole. Samuel Steingard is asking about Raising Stone. That sounds familiar, but I don't know if I've ever played it. Nick Canfield wants to know what I think about Goldberg returning to in-ring action. I just heard about this today, and I thought it was a rib. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was just for the video game or something. Isn't Goldberg like 45 years old or something like that? Hold on. Let me get my phone out, because that's just, I mean, well, I mean, Sting was like 50 something, but Sting was an actual wrestler. And I feel weird saying that. I really do. Because I was always of the mind that Sting was, I mean, he could seem like he could take direction, but I never considered, him to be a guy that, like had it. He never really convinced me when he would talk. And I've heard him give interviews, and he's a fucking Christian douchebag. And so Goldberg to me was less than that. Goldberg was an actor. Goldberg was a guy who played football. He reminded me of like when the refrigerator William Perry was at one of the WrestleManias. Like that, like just, or like Steve McMichael. He was a football player that got used to being in front of a camera and was just faking it until the end. Because Goldberg couldn't fucking wrestle. How old's Goldberg? Goldberg is 49. 49. He lives in Bonsall. That's right around the corner from here. I'll go tell him. You're fucking old, Goldberg. 49. Who would want to get back to this after being, and he's been gone. I'm sure he's done, some things and maybe stayed in shape, but at 49 to start doing that, that's insane to me. So is Vince McMahon, 70 years old, using fucking steroids, but, we can talk about that some other time. But as far as your question, Goldberg, I don't get it. Do they really think this old man is going to draw? You'd have better luck drawing money with Harley Race because they've sapped all the drawing power of Jerry Lawler. They've run Jerry Lawler into the fucking ground. Look what they did to Jim Ross. Jim Ross has to go to Japan to get over. Fuck. On the other hand, that's kind of how the wrestling business has been for a long time. If you can't go west, you go east. There's never that much business in the West anyway. So, Nick, I'm sorry if you like Mongo McMichael. I got nothing against Mongo McMichael, but he wasn't any good. He was fine as far as in-ring action, he was fine. And as far as being a commentator on Monday Nitro, I'd give him about a 66. 66% of the shit he said didn't hurt the wrestling business and made, could pass for commentary. But Steve McMichael always commented on wrestling the same way he would comment on football, and they're not the same thing. See, there's this idea, especially in modern football, where they're just yelling things at you. Make sure and buy this from NFL.com and blah, 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 blah. And he brought that to wrestling, and I think that's why wrestling today is there's so much line chatter. It's just talking for the sake of talking. It's not helping to tell a story. Montana says the rematch between Goldberg and Lesnar is needed. What? Goldberg versus Lesnar? Fucking what? 14 years later? I saw that match. I don't want to talk about that match. It hurts my feelings, that match. Fuck that shit. Oh, man. Ugh. What's my opinion on Steve Jobs? Are we descending into this? What's my opinion on Steve Jobs? Steve Jobs is dead. What I think of him doesn't matter. I think Tim Cook's a nice guy, and I'm probably totally wrong, but he's at least smart enough to come off as a nice guy to the rest of the world. Much like Satoru Iwata, I don't know that he was a very nice man, but he did a good job in coming off as a very nice man. And that's what you have to do. I wasn't mad at Steve Jobs directly. I was mad at the, the Pippin. I did say I would like to be first in line, and I'll bet you there would be a line. I wonder if I would get first in line, because I'm sure there's people like maybe like Wozniak. Wozniak might want to kick him in the nuts, you know. Did I watch the CM Punk UFC fight? No, I didn't. I've got better things to spend money on, like, you know, entertainment. No, I heard about it. I heard it was kind of a shit show. It was over pretty quickly. If they were smart, they would have worked that and, you know, develop some drawing power. But now no one is ever going to fucking pay money to see CM Punk in UFC again. Maybe in a year's time, maybe. Would I ever want to be the World Wrestling Federation champion for a week? No. Why would I want to do that? Then I'll start balding like Dean Ambrose. I don't think I wished a painless death on Jonathan Davis. I think I wished a painful death, but, you know, he's been venting his pain for years, and he's been making other people pay for it. Electric Hellion wants to know my opinion on Yngwie Malmsteen. Yngwie J. Malmsteen, you know, to distinguish himself from all the other Yngwie Malmsteens in the music business. I think Yngwie's great. I remember the last time I saw him live, I was a bit disappointed, but I think Yngwie's great. He taught me that there's more to life than humbuckers. He showed that there's a reason the Stratocaster is the legend that it is. Everybody's beating up on Sam Dunn again. You guys always do that. Did I start that? Did I make everyone hate Sam Dunn? You know, I don't, you know, whatever. He's entitled to his opinion. I just don't understand why he's being looked at as some sort of journalistic source. Him and Ian Christie are two guys that I don't know, the internet has allowed people to believe that they are experts in heavy metal when in fact one's a shitty filmmaker and one's a shitty comedian. And I hate it when shitty comedians can't draw money as shitty comedians. And the same thing for filmmakers or writers. So they work their way into music or performance art like professional wrestling. I don't know why stand-up comedians want to be professional wrestlers. You don't draw money. You know, why are you wasting your time? I don't get it. Yeah, I called Sam Dunn a wiener. I'll call him a wiener. But I don't think he's a bad person. There's lots of people who are wieners who are not bad people. Then again, maybe my definition of bad people is different than yours. Electric Hellion says that Sam Dunn made him hate Sam Dunn. Well, I appreciate that. That's definitely an honest statement. And that's the way it ought to be. You ought to dislike people for who they are, not for how they threaten you or, you know, make you reconsider what it is that you hold dear and sacred and all that shit. This lighting makes my eyebrows look huge, doesn't it? Look like Groucho. Let me see here. Have I ever seen Alice Cooper live? Have I? I've never seen Alice Cooper live. I guess I wish I had seen Alice Cooper live. A good friend of mine who I played in a band with at the time did go see Alice Cooper live, and I can't remember why I didn't go. Oh, he was supporting a record called Brutal Planet, and I don't know. It was 90s metal, and I don't know. Maybe who knows what my reasoning was. The point is, no, I haven't, and I'm kind of sad by that. Nick Canfield wants to know how I feel about the overly political correct state of media today. I don't think there is any. I think that might depend on what forms of media you're looking at, Nick. If you're talking about the mainstream media is a stream of brainwashing. That's why they call it a stream. To dunk your head in the water and board you until you've decided that you're going to go along with them. So, and that's up to you. Or you could listen to other voices. You realize that's what your life is, listening to other voices, either on the radio or on TV or on the internet, like right now, like a lot of you people. I want to do this here. All you folks listening to me with your headphones on. Yeah, baby. I want you to know things are going to be just fine. Hillary Clinton might be the president. Donald Trump might show his wig. I don't know. But what you got to know is life is just a bunch of hearing voices. And you either agree with them or disagree with them. And it's interesting that people stand up and shout and scream at people that can't hear them. But don't let that bother you. They are in charge of nothing more than making you think and spend your money a certain way. That's their job. And then you got banned from NeoGAF. Well, I'm sorry. Kishiro guy wants to know my favorite animal. I like all the animals. Except for man. Nick wants to know if he's a dick for saying all lives matter. Well, technically, no lives matter. And so, I mean, well, that's really either all lives matter or no lives matter. You have to pick one. And matter to whom? That's something else you have to take into account. You know, I mean, you could have the best of intentions, but, you know, if a volcano erupts in your backyard and covers your whole city in lava, what did any of it matter? Everybody's dead. The property is destroyed. Everything that everybody worked for is gone. The circle of life. Stop taking yourself so seriously, I guess. Rant about the PlayStation VR. Sure. This goddamn thing. Has anybody seen this? This fucking Nerf-looking thing? No, I'm... Of course, they had to make it a different color because everyone else is going black. I understand that it's going to retail for $399, and the PlayStation 4 Pro is going to move for what, like $499, something like that. And then they were showing off the new Star Wars Battlefront, which works with PlayStation VR. So just to play this game, I think you're looking at like $1,000 when after sales tax. That's going to be a hefty amount for Christmas. I mean, that's like a Philips CDI or something. I wonder, are there enough PlayStation 4? Because I guess certain PlayStation 4s are going to work with it, but it's optimized for PlayStation 4 Pro. Wow. So, yeah, this is, this to me sounds like, you know, the striking distance between, like, does anybody, if you remember the Sega Master System and the Genesis had the 32X and the Master System had the 3D glasses. And that really seems like a merging point. Like what you're really doing is you're just making your audience smaller and smaller and smaller every time you open your mouth, Sony. That's just what it really seems like. PS4 Pro is $300. $399. Okay, so $400, and then $400 for PlayStation VR, $800, and then a game is $60, $860, and then you multiply that across. You know, your sales tax may vary, but you're talking something like $900 and however many dollars, and that doesn't even cover the fucking wrapping paper for Christmas. You know, not to mention the fucking tree that it has, you know, that has to go over this thing. Whew, that's stunning to me. And, you know, how many games are really going to optimize that experience, you know? And these are the things that you have to contrast and compare as a consumer, obviously. I applaud what they're doing. I just really wish everyone would get a lot more realistic about this is not going to cause a boom. This might cause a research boom. Might be a good reason for there to be more studies done into virtual reality and how it can help people, and also what it can do for purposes of entertainment. And there's a lot of people who have their designs and have their ideas, but again, people have to buy this shit. You can have the best of intentions, you can have the best technology. If people are not buying it, you have nothing. Without an audience, you have nothing. And when you have an existing audience and you start paring it down by income, that's what that is. When you have these people who've already bought your product, and then you start attaching this and this and this, what you're doing is you're engaging in class warfare. You are now reducing how powerful you are because you're now reducing how powerful your audience once was. They now no longer have access, and you're asking them for a new investment. Less than halfway through this thing. What's the PlayStation 4 been out for, what, 3 years? Is it 3 years? I can't remember. It might be 3 years this holiday, I think. So that's a lot to ask. That's a lot to ask, I think. I really do. Especially when I think first-person games have really reached saturation, and this is a huge push, even more so for first-person. So these are things that I wonder, you know. What effect do I think that a Trump presidency will have on VR? It'll be a great new way to pick out wigs. I'll bet you. Virtual haircuts and shit, picking out wigs for bald dudes. Could be. Electric Helly wants to know what we're playing. We are playing the William Castle classic, The House on Haunted Hill, which you can find right here on YouTube right after the program just by typing House on Haunted Hill, full movie, I guess, and it'll pop right up, I promise. And if it's not there, then I don't know what the fuck's wrong. They're in the public domain. It was there before. Sons of bitches. Let me see here. And the Uke is here. I guess he's been here for a while, and I didn't acknowledge him. I'm terribly sorry. Robert Sanders wants to wish that I'm doing very well. Well, I am, Robert, and thank you very much. What do I think about virtual reality porn? I think it's an inevitability. I think that it already exists, and it's just a matter of bringing it to the consumer level. You thought that the Nintendo Wii had some consumer mishaps. This is going to have some serious consumer mishaps, but what doesn't? Those lazy asses on those so-called hoverboards have accidents all the time, and I don't know, has that affected sales? Didn't seem like that lasted very long, and that was supposed to be the hot new thing for Christmas 2015. And a bunch of people fell down and bust their face on the coffee table. So, so that stuff, so if anything, the VR, I think, will really help people redecorate after spilling things and knocking over furniture. This is going to be a great thing for home furnishings. I really think so. This is going to do wonders for if only the people at Levitt's and Wix were still in business. But I think that the fine folks at Jennifer Leather and Living Spaces Furniture are going to do very well shortly after this holiday. That's what I think. And if you don't think so, hey, whatever. Whatever, ride a hoverboard to the bodega. The nearest bodegas are on the East Coast, so we don't have bodegas here in California. We have, what do they call them? Market. But ride a hoverboard, me, never. See, Kid Sure You Can says they got VR porn setups with naughty bits in Japan over there in Nippon. Of course. Montana wants to know my opinion of Eric Clapton. Pardon me, I belched. My opinion of Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton is the slow hand. He's great in his own special way. IKEA has a virtual reality game on Steam where you can set up a virtual living room. You can virtually set things up, meaning you can't, but you can come close. Stunning. Nick Canfield wants to know if I still smoke cigarettes. No, I don't. I gave up smoking cigarettes about 4 or 5 years ago. I decided that they were just too expensive. And that was it. I walked away from it. So no, I don't. What do I think of Richie Blackmore getting another Rainbow lineup together? Hey, good for him. He's probably at home, bored. Good for him. Gives me hope that I'll be able to perform music when I'm that age. ZZ Top does something similar. They make me, feel good. It's like, okay, getting loaded and playing rock and roll, and it will still be possible in another, however many years. And there's lots of love going on for Steely Dan. Fantastic. If paid, would I read a lot of 90s gangster rap songs? You mean read aloud? Yes, absolutely. For the right kind of money. I'm going to save that for, hopefully someone will invite me on one of those charity stream things, and then I want to do that. Sure, I will, for donations to whatever charity we're working with. And we'll research to make sure it's a good one, believe you me. And I will do that. Absolutely. Who do I root for in the NFL? I don't really. I don't really give a damn. But if the Raiders are on, I'll watch the Raiders. At least for a brief period. What do I think about WWE Diva Paige proposing to Alberto Del Rio in the ring and him saying yes? I don't know. Was it part of an angle? I don't care. I think that shit belongs outside of wrestling. I think it's stupid. Even when the Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth, that was stupid. I think it's terrible and I hate it. More corny soap opera bullshit. I hate it. A lot of corn hate. That's interesting. Good grief. That got quick. And everyone's just hating on corn. I guess my remarks about Jonathan Davis were less than enthusiastic. I guess you would say less than praise. I will say that. But we are getting towards the end of the program, so I want to thank everybody for coming out. I really do. We'll get a few more questions, and then I'll get the hell out of your hair. And again, guys, I thank you very much for stopping by, and I hope you had a great time. So yeah. I never did give him $1, by the way. I think I promised to send him at PayPal, and I didn't. I think I welched on that. Oh well, what are you gonna do? Shirtless chaos at Christmas? You think you? I'm just gonna take a picture and like email it to certain people. Who, got to get a Christmas mailing list together. Did I step on whose nuts yet? Was I supposed to step on some nuts? Whose nuts was I supposed to step on? Why did I get upset when Sainted Magnus said this mushroom head deserved more exposure? Because I feel they deserve less exposure. I think that is a band less talented than fucking Lordy. So, and Sainted Magnus, I did not step on his nuts. He's thousands of miles away, and, you know, my leg's just not that long. It just didn't work. And did any underage girls ever send me nudie pictures to the Hate Bit podcast? Not that I'm aware of. Now, mind you, Sainted Magnus had access to that before I did. So, all things are possible. Anyway, that's it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, the clock on wall says I got to get going. So, thank you very much. You guys are great. You're all beautiful, each and every one of you. I want to remind you that you need to follow me on the Twitter, just because, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Periscope. Make sure and subscribe and all that stuff. And if you don't want to, fuck it. I don't care. But the fact remains that you guys are great. And I'm your Chaos. Thank you very much. And before I go, remember that the light of the end of the tunnel just might be you. Good night.